Recently released NJSLA test scores show that only 42% of New Jersey third grade students are proficient in English language arts. New Jersey Education Report's Laura Waters recently spoke with Executive Director Paula White about JerseyCAN's recent report that recommends adoption of statewide standards based on the science of reading.
Paula, thank you for joining me today. Tell me about JerseyCAN's recent report, Leveraging Literacy, the Path to Education Recovery in New Jersey.
We all know that we endured COVID and the pandemic, and that did have an impact on student outcomes. And we get it. Everyone expected that to some extent. But as I've talked about before with you, Laura, that impact was not felt evenly across all student groups. And so students who are already languishing or right on the cusp of not being proficient, their scores and their proficiency has dropped precipitously. And so the question becomes, how do we address education recovery and how do we do it in a sustainable way? Because we don't want to just recover to the bad place where we were. We want to recover and have an upward trajectory and some notion of being able to make consistent gains and gain momentum so that by the time our children are school leavers, they really have a fighting chance. And leveraging literacy is the way to do that.
Paula, can you tell me about the New Jersey Legacy of Literacy Coalition?
The word legacy is very personally meaningful to me. This coalition is an umbrella for various organizations that care about this issue, whether they are professional organizations, whether they're an organization like Teach for America New Jersey, whether it's Decoding Dyslexia, whether it's the Reading League, parent organizations like Unapologetic Parents, Parent Impact, all kinds of groups that, either have a direct calling to improve educational outcomes, or they work with constituent groups and stakeholders for which education matters. For example, the New Jersey Business and Industry Association, they have a vested interest in making sure that our children are educated. And the reality of the situation is that we need all of our leaders to come together and to agree on the fact that we have to use evidence-based approaches to help our children to learn to read.
How can the State Department of Education provide guidance and support to school districts that are implementing the science of reading?
In New Jersey, curriculum is a local decision, but standards are not a local decision. And so what we need is to have leadership from our state board to be able to present standards that will determine that educators must, choose curricula that aligns with those standards, because that's how education works. You have the standard, and then you may be able to choose your own curriculum, but it has to align with the standards. The Department of Education should be creating, publishing, disseminating information about best practices for literacy instruction. I mean, widely disseminated information that says this is the kind of curriculum that will get children reading and that children need to be exposed to. So that is really important. And that's something that the Department of Education can be doing today. I believe, they certainly have the best interests of students at heart. And so I am looking forward to working with them in order to make this happen. And we can ill afford to, continue to kick the can down the road on this issue.
Paula, what's the path forward?
What schools do is curriculum. What schools do is instruction. So if they don't have the right curriculum and if they don't have the right instruction, what are we doing? And that begins with the right standards. So we need the right standards, and then we need exemplars of the right curriculum, and then we need support for the right instruction. We need to be using the proper strategies to teach children how to read so that they understand the construct of the language. They're learning word parts. They're learning the connection between speech and the sounds that are on the page. And using the science of reading is the best way to get the largest swath of children to read and read at grade level.
Get the latest insight into education news, policy, and politics straight to your inbox. Subscribe at njedreport.com.